If you're like me and have been squatting and pressing more frequently than normal, I bet your shoulders and elbows kind of feel like crap. So mine actually do. So what we're going to be doing today is going over what I do to help my elbows and shoulders feel better when I'm really, really close to a meet or really, really close to a contest, or just need to get this pain, this fatigue, this not really an injury, but it's kind of a beat up elbow feeling out of your system so you can perform better, lift more, and continue on gaining all the strength and all the power that you need. So what we're gonna do, let's go over to the turf and start over there. All right guys, so first things first, when we're trying to deal with a shoulder or an elbow, you really want to get to the foundational level of the problem. And for most people, it's going to be their thoracic spine, especially if you're a power lifter, getting under a bar, low bar squatting, pressing a bunch. Your upper back is going to be super, super tight. And if you're a power lifter, that's a good thing. We want to be able to build up the ability to maintain tension and tightness in that upper back. But the problem is we start to get less and less mobile, and then we start to beat up on our elbows and our shoulders, and they start to feel like crap. So first thing I'm going to do is roll out my upper back. So I never like to roll out a lower back because that's just a bad idea. But upper back, we need to be able to extend and flex that upper back much better so our shoulder blades can move, and everything else we do after this is going to feel a lot better. So grab yourself a foam roller from elitefts.com. Keeping your hips and butt on the ground, we kind of just want to allow that foam roller to be right under those shoulder blades to start. We just reach back. Holy crap. You can go both hands. You can go hands behind the head. Really just want to melt into the ground and let that thoracic spine kind of open up. Holy shit. This does not feel good. It feels good, but bad, if that makes sense. Trying to control your breathing as well. Big breath in. Exhale, try to melt into the ground, get a little farther. I'm sure I'm turning all sorts of shades of purple. And then we move up just a little bit, just about an inch or two. Do the same thing, reach it over. Same thing there. Oh, careful. Contents of brain may have shifted during stretch. Oh, stand up. So we worked on the extension front to back. Now we're going to work on a little bit of rotation. So you can use the foam roller for this if you want, but I'm not going to. How we're going to do this, we're going to get in all fours position, and I'm going to have one hand behind my head, and I'm going to reach my elbow to the ceiling and try not to cramp up. Again, trying to get that rotation through the upper back as opposed to that lower back. So we'll do about 5 or 6 on each side. And you're gonna feel this in your lats, you're gonna feel this in your upper back, you're gonna feel this everywhere. It's gonna feel really shitty, and it's gonna feel really, really good. So that's number one. Number two, let's move on, and we'll show you that one. So after we break into that, oh, fuck me, really restart, that was stupid.
All right, and action.
So after we work on that thoracic spine and kind of that foundation, we need to start working on your ability to inhibit internal rotation of the shoulder, right? So as a power lifter, as someone who's starting to get a little bit more mass in their upper body, we have a tendency of losing external rotation, and we start to bias that internal rotation a little bit. And that leaves us in a position where if we try to get under a bar, it starts to torque on the elbows and on the shoulders. So a couple muscles that really, if they start to get tight, they start to get really, really overworked or hypertonic. You need to stretch the pec, we need to stretch the bicep, we need to stretch the lats, right? So all three of those muscles actually pull that shoulder into internal rotation. So we need to kind of get those to relax a little bit. This first one that will definitely help with that elbow is you're gonna be putting your thumb in your palm, pressing it flat against the wall, trying to get your elbow as close as you can to that wall. Press yourself in and just slightly rotate out. You're gonna feel this if you have very tight biceps, which I can almost guarantee most of you do. You're gonna feel this in your bicep to start. Once you do this for a few rounds, you'll actually start to feel it in your shoulder and in your pec. So we do about 30 seconds. I always do it by breaths, so about 5 or 10 breaths per side. And then you switch sides, same idea, pressing that thumb into the wall. Try and get as close as the wall as you possibly can. As you can see, actually, the distance between my right elbow and the wall is greater than that of my left side. Ironically enough, this is the side that hurts the most. So, driving that elbow into the wall, trying to open up. And I'll tell you right now, this is a little gunky, a little gunked up. Just hold that position, breathe, and as that bicep starts to relax and chill out a little bit, you'll start to feel that more in your pec. This is a point that's going to be really, really tight on a lot of you, and I would spend a little extra time doing these prior to training or after your training. All right, next one after we got the pecs, after we get the bicep, we're actually going to hit the pec minor. So we're going to put that on the same wall, elbow slightly higher than your shoulder, but the same idea, you're pressing in, but now what we want to do is rotate our body away in the same line as our elbow, right? So we're going to rotate down, and you're going to feel this all the way in here, right? Getting to that pec minor, which again can get all gunged up and tight. Same idea, breathe this out. Oh, and that's really tight. But what's going to be even more tight is this right side. Ooh, I can't even get to the wall. Again, spend some time, just kind of hold these positions and breathe. Once you do that, ooh, that's better. Once you do that, we're gonna stretch the lats out over on a bench. All right, so the next stretch we're gonna be doing is focusing in on stretching the lats. What you wanna do, grab a PVC pipe or one of these bendy sticks that we have in the gym. Go about just outside of shoulder width. If you start a little bit closer, it's gonna be a little bit easier. The farther out you go, the harder it's gonna be, because it's gonna require greater amount of external rotation than shoulder. And for most powerlifters, strongmen, they don't really have too much of that. So start just outside shoulder width, elbows on a bench. And what I want you to do, keeping those elbows on the bench, you're gonna sink your hips back and try to sit your head in between your arms. Oh, as you can see, I'm not moving particularly far because I am wicked tight. So if this is too extreme for you, you can bring those hands in just a little bit. And again, sink back, focusing in on breathing. Big breath in. And as you exhale, try to sink deeper down. Wow. That is super tight. Same idea here. Go about 10 breaths, go about 30 seconds, whatever you want to do. But the key is, ooh, you'll notice you can actually get into a better position already. That's feeling a whole lot better. So we worked on that T-spine, worked on inhibiting that internal rotation. Now we're gonna go over to the cable stack, work on some external rotation, and then I'm gonna show you one exercise that's gonna help you feel really good. All right guys, so we stretched that T-spine, opened that up a little bit, worked on inhibiting that internal rotation. Now we need to kind of stimulate the muscles that allow us to externally rotate that shoulder. So you can do this on a cable stack. This is probably the easiest way to do it, but you can also do it with bands. So what you want to focus in on if you're a beginner, when you start down here, the ability to externally rotate is easier. So this is like the baseline example of how to do these exercises if you're new at these, right? You may have seen this in rehab, you may have seen this in PT, but it's really good to kind of facilitate a lot of activity in those external rotators in your rotator cuff, which will be very beneficial for benching and squatting. It can help you feel better. So same idea, what you want to do, keep that elbow pinned, right? You want a straight line from the cable stack to your elbow, and you just want to lock everything down and just rotate. So all we're doing, rotating that shoulder, rotating everything, and not trying to force it. So as soon as you get into any sort of body English, you got to stop. All we want to do is we want to focus in on just rotation. As you can see, this side, meh, it's a little bit funky. But if you want to come around on this side, this is my not feeling like crap side. Comes a little bit farther, right? It's a little bit easier on this side. So the idea is you want to facilitate that external rotation a little bit, pump up those rotator cuff muscles, and that'll help you feel better in your squat and your bench. All right, so the last thing we're gonna be doing with our shoulders to help our elbows and our shoulders feel better for benching and squatting is working on a little bit of overhead pressing, but more importantly, activating that serratus. That serratus controls and stabilizes that shoulder blade on your thoracic spine and on your rib cage. So if that muscle is not doing its job, the whole kind of thing in your upper back and your shoulder blade and your thoracic spine, it's not gonna be functioning and working as well as it should. So what you really want to focus in on, again, if you're a beginner with these, half kneeling position, you want to keep that elbow towards the front of the room, pressing up. And then after you get to that top position, you want to think about pressing your elbow or your armpit straight up to the ceiling. If you notice here, this is not a finished position. We want to get here. So you're reaching, trying to put your palm to the ceiling, and you're gonna feel everything start to kind of fire up. Hold that position for a few seconds, then come right down. If you're more advanced, you can do a bottoms up kettlebell press, where you're holding the kettlebell like this, same idea. You wanna do everything the exact same, but now this is gonna fight you on the way up, and it's gonna help you kind of see if you're more towards internal rotation versus external rotation. So here we go. Hopefully I don't screw this up and look stupid. Come straight up, keeping that rib cage down, pressing that armpit to the ceiling, stabilizing, and coming down. Keeping the reps kind of low on those, 5 to 6 reps each side, and already that's starting to feel like a human again. Again, voice cracks, that was cool. So if you stuck around to the end of the video, now we're gonna get into a little bit of a secret stretch that will help your elbow and your shoulder feel better. Now, this looks like a couch stretch and it looks like it's stretching my hip flexors, and it is. And the secret is, if you're unable to get into a really good position on your bench press because your hips are so tight, you're gonna end up putting more force into your elbow and into your shoulder, and that's not good. And that can potentially add a little bit more fatigue and therefore more pain into your elbows and your shoulders. So what we're doing here, a very simple couch stretch. You've seen me talk about it in other videos. It's a great way to open up those hip flexors and to allow you to get into that much more stable position of driving into that bench, driving into that position to give you that support at the bottom of that bench press. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, if you got something out of this video, make sure you like, subscribe, do all the things. Check out elitefts.com for all your lifting needs. And on behalf of myself and Jacob behind the camera, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.